Morning, TikTok fam. Just finished up a quick workout. It's a little after 10 a.m. Eastern Time on Friday. And here's what we're going to do. As an author, I always want to reach out more to my readers, to any readers really, and see what's going on in your world, chat a little bit, get your questions. And I always figure there's questions that people would like to ask an author, but it occurs to me, many authors are introverts and most readers are introverts. Not all, but many. So what I thought I'd do is take some of the common interview questions that an author gets asked in an interview and answer those for you. So what we're doing here is I'm going to do a live session, maybe bust out 30 minutes or so, longer if you guys have questions, go ahead and ask them. I'm going to be answering your questions and I'm going to be reading some of the popular questions that I've been asked in other interviews or just in general that authors get asked. Then I'm going to download it and I'll put it on YouTube later. And eventually we're going to have a podcast when we find a site that we like. So first question is, when did you first realize you wanted to be a writer? Well, I'm going to make a distinction right there. And one of the other questions is, what's the difference between a writer and an author? I'll tell you this distinction for me. A writer might be a sports writer, okay? So he's telling you the recap of the weekend's hockey game or something. That's different. To me, a writer, that's a broader spectrum. An author is somebody who creates books, okay? And probably specifically novels. So for me, it would be, when did you realize you first wanted to be an author? And it's funny, when I go back, I would say, it was a couple years ago, not that long ago, when maybe a year before I started putting out books. And the answer is that's actually not true. I was writing for the school newspaper. I wrote stories in my free time. I wrote poetry, kind of like, not really poems, but I was in a rock band, so I was writing lyrics, which tend to rhyme when you're in a band writing a song. And before that, when I was a little kid, I wrote cartoons. I had different comic strips that I would do for my older brother. And so when you think about it, it's like a comic strip not a comic strip, but a comic, story in a comic, has to have a beginning, a middle, and an end. It's got to have interesting characters, and usually there were mysteries. One of my favorite characters was Sam Parrot, Private Eye. It was a parrot with a trench coat and a hat, and he went around solving mysteries. So basically, I've been writing basically all my life. And when did I decide I wanted to be a writer? I was writing a bunch of stories right after my daughter was born. That first year or two, I was writing a lot of stories and I was putting them on Facebook. And one of my friends told me, hey, these would make a good book. And part of it is I paid attention to a lot of other entertainers like Mark Twain and Bill Cosby, how they would tell a story. And I like that type of style of, we're going to go from point A to point B, but in between we're going to zigzag around and go see some other things, which works really well in a humorous venue. But for dramas and mysteries and thrillers and stuff like that, still also, but it's a different way of setting it up. There are red herrings and there's subplots. So it's basically just taking that nutshell of what I was doing then and expanding it and kind of changing the topic. Somebody asks, how long does it take you to write a book? I write pretty fast. I will think about a story for a while I'm working on another story. I'll get ideas. Oh, this might be a good idea for here, that story, this story, and I'll just start putting them in different files. And then when I'm ready to write, I'll sit down and I really think a lot about that opening sentence. I really want to grab you. There are readers, very generous readers, who have said, oh, if I can't get into it in the first 50 or 100 pages, and then I'm out. I'm like, 50 pages? You would give somebody 50 pages? Like I said, they're generous. Me, I feel like I gotta capture your attention on page 1, certainly in chapter 1, definitely on page 1, opening paragraph, opening sentence, opening word. That is how much pressure I put on myself to get the story up and running. And when I look at newer authors, they start writing and they think, oh, there's other stuff you needed to know before I can get to the interesting stuff. And my thing for them and my thing for me is always, look, it looks like I got a dot here in the middle of my head. What's going on there? And there it is, and there it's not. So it's a shadow. I don't know. Anyhow, so they take too long to get their story up and running. That's the biggest thing. It's like, what's the most interesting thing you tell in chapter 1? Can you start with that? For me, it's usually a killer getting ready to kill somebody, because if you write murder mysteries, there's usually a murder. So I opened 4 different websites. Feel free to ask your own questions. I'm going to go one at a time to the different sites. At what point do you think someone should call themselves a writer? Again, I'm going to change that to author. And I will say, as soon as you start writing stories, all you are is an unpublished author until you publish. And whether you publish independently or through a small press or through traditional publishers with agents and all that other stuff, you know, as soon as you're creating stories and characters and that stuff, you're an author. And the sooner you call yourself that, the sooner you'll take on that mindset. There's like an air of illegitimacy, like, you know, the Matt Damons of the world who were doing all kinds of odd jobs while they were trying to become actors. They were still actors. They weren't a waiter actor. They were an actor who supported their acting business by doing what they had to do, like, you know, waiting tables. So you should call yourself that from day one. What literary, here's something else I wanted to say. It seems like every time I go live, or half the time when I'm trying to do the host is inviting you to go live together. No, I got to turn you down. I'm just going to keep this just me. Plus, I don't know who that was. If it was somebody I knew and we talked about it ahead of time, I might have. So send me a direct message and we'll chat. So for those of you following along, I got an invitation to bring somebody into the call. Again, if it was somebody I knew, I didn't recognize the name. If it was somebody I knew, I'd totally do it. I would love to do that with you guys. Feel free to join. Maybe we'll set up a Skype call and we can all jump in. So, well, now I lost my train of thought. Anyway, it says, that's what I was going to say. So a lot of the times I get on there and I've been saying, okay, mystery and thriller lovers. It's something about the words thriller lover. You know, it's not that hard to say, thriller lover. But for whatever reason, I started doing my thing. Okay, mystery and thriller lovers, I got a question for you. Something about that thriller lover. Something about that makes my tongue get a little thick and I can't speak. So I'm stumbling over that. So I may just go, okay, mystery lovers, because it's easier than saying, okay, mystery and thriller lovers. And the one time I really enunciated it, my daughter watched it and she's like, you sound like you don't know how to speak. Okay, so what literary pilgrimages have you gone on? Technically zero. I've never gone anywhere with the intention of, you know, seeing, some great author's house. However, if I am already in a place like Key West, I definitely swing by the Hemingway house because why not? You're already in Key West. And I was just there, 3 weeks ago or something like that. So I totally went over and checked out Hemingway's house. It was fun. He's got all those six-toed cats. We did some videos from there, some TikToks from there. I was in Missouri, and I forget, maybe it was, I don't think it was the hometown of Samuel Clemens, Mark Twain, but I was there to explore wine country, and it was a vacation, right? My brother lives in St. Louis. So we went, while we were there, we wanted to go to St. Louis, do the St. Louis stuff. I think it was Oktoberfest, we're going to do that. And then my wife and I went to a bunch of wineries that are out there. They have really, I think Norton grapes are really popular out there. And as part of that, we drove through some small city where somebody famous was born or lived or something. Honestly, I can't remember. It's obviously not too important. And again, if you have any questions, feel free to ask. Have I ever been to Europe? Yeah. I've been to Europe, well, at least once. I was trying to think. We went one trip. We went to France and Germany, and on that trip, so we took a bunch of trains and stuff. So we, cut through Austria. Had one of the best picnics ever, just on the side of the road by a mountain lake in Austria. Absolutely. Obviously, this is 10 years more than 10 years later. Still jumps right to my head. The most beautiful thing, and it was just a simple. We went like to a gas station. We got a baguette and some cheese that we had to cut with a pocket knife, and like some mustard that was like in a toothpaste tube, and we just and warm beer because that's how they do it over there, at least at that place. And we just sat on the side, put it all in the trunk, had our rental car, and there was like a bench, like an anchored kind of bench, and it was next to this little tiny road, in the mountains on the left, and the big giant lake on the right. It was absolutely gorgeous. So we went to Germany. We were there for a part of Oktoberfest, had a blast. The Germans were such friendly people, had absolutely great time. Went in those big tents, Hofbrauhaus big tents, and all these teenagers, German teenagers with their big steins. And me and my wife walking around, and they could obviously tell, you guys are fish out of water. Come join us. They invited us over to their table, and they're all standing. Everybody stands, stand on the tabletop, stand on the benches. They're all singing. And they were singing so over the loudspeakers. These tents, by the way, these are not tents. These are tents like as big as a convention center, as big as a football field. It was amazing, right? And then it's packed, and they're playing all this music, and they were playing old 50s, I think it was 60s rock and roll music, which was really great. All these German kids are singing all this, and most people speak English over there. We went to Italy. That was a blast. It was a different trip. We went all over Italy, had a great time with the Italians. Loved the Italian people, loved the German people. The French were nice, most of them. We also went to the UK. I got friends in the UK. I have friends everywhere, but we specifically went to visit some friends in the UK and had a blast there. It sounds beautiful. It was absolutely beautiful. Here's a question. Have you ever felt left out? Of course, sure. You know, you're a kid, you're doing stuff, and you're picked last for the kickball team or whatever. You don't feel so hot. As far as do I ever feel left out now as an adult? I don't know. Probably not. But I have a kid, and so you certainly see what happens when somebody feels left out. And to the extent that I wrote a story once, Aaron Wells is a character, and Tiffany Lynn is missing, and his daughters play volleyball, and they beat the other team. They're headed to the championship, and they go out to celebrate with pizza. And they're in there, and the place is packed. And as they're celebrating, you know, they're drinking their root beer, because they're kids. He sees I think he's even getting ready to leave or whatever. He sees the coach of the other team, the one they just beat, because it's an out-of-town team, come in, and a few of the players in uniform, and the reaction is like from the opposing team players is like, oh, we're at the wrong place. And he gets up and goes over, and is like, please join us. I want you to feel like you pushed us to our limit. I'm not sure if we played you tomorrow we would be victorious. That's the kind of competitor I want to go against, the person who pushes me to go beyond my limits. And then he looks at his daughters, and his daughter stands up and says to the opposing team captain, here, come sit by me. So they knew each other, but they were competitors. And I thought, you know, that's what a nice little thing I put in there for people who read that. Do you have a preferred writing tool? Well, I got these. Actually, mostly I type with 2 fingers. I do like that. And my writing tool, as far as like people use Scrivener and all that, I don't use any of that crap. I write in Microsoft Word. I'm going to say this. Whatever tool you use, if it helps you, stay with it. As far as, I remember my dad telling me when he was a little kid, there were kids playing soccer, and he goes, the best kid would be the one who showed up, didn't have the right kind of shoes, didn't have the uniform, and would beat everybody's butt. And then the other kid, who was the rich kid who had the best sneakers, cleats, right? Couldn't play worth a darn. He's like, have the talent. Don't let things stop you just because you don't have the right equipment. So I'll give you my 2 cents. I don't think Scrivener is important to have. If you want to write stories, write your stories. Microsoft works fine for me, and if Microsoft Word shut down tomorrow, I'd write in something else. It wouldn't be a big deal at all. Let's scroll back here because I missed a few of these questions. What made my day? Answering my question. Oh, you're very welcome. Thank you so much. You're very welcome. Hey, have you ever been to New York? Yeah. My wife, so we both, in the past, I went to President's Circle with 2 different Fortune 500 companies. Okay. And so one trip was Aruba, I think, for mine. And the other one was, I can't think of where my other one was. So she also went to President's Circle a couple times. One time was to Hawaii, and the other one was something else. But then she won an award. So we were kind of used to like getting these awards when you're really a top performer, President's Circle. So she won this award, was a weekend in New York, and you had a budget spent. So we went to the Rainbow Room. And the Rainbow Room has that spinning, is it spinning dance floor or this rotating tables? I forget which. So that was fun. And of course we had brunch at Tavern on the Green, walked through Central Park, stayed in a nice hotel, got a great $5 Rolex or Rolex or whatever it was. Did a bunch of great shopping in Chinatown and Little Italy, had some of the best pizza on the sidewalk, brick oven. That was before brick oven was a thing. Now there's brick oven pizzas everywhere. They have in New York, and that's part of what got me into, for those of you who don't know, I make my own pizzas on Friday night. I make my own dough from scratch, make my own sauce. In fact, today's Friday, so I probably won't do a TikTok of it because that's maybe not so interesting. And it takes a couple hours to do. But literally, after I pick up my daughter from school, I'll come home, I'll make my dough from scratch. While it's rising, I'm gonna make my sauce. I buy a big brick of cheese, I'll be shredding that. And then we've got the pizza stone, and put the ovens at 550 degrees because standard residential oven. You know, it's as hot as it goes. So you get that. It cooks, I think a big, like an 18-inch pizza that I make cooks in 6 minutes. And it's crispy on the bottom and it's thin, or you can make them thick. You can do whatever you want. So, yeah, been to New York, had a great time in New York. What does this say? Fountain pen and Google Docs for me. Listen, again, whatever gets you to get your stories done, that's the most important thing. If some people write all their notes out by longhand on legal pads, and then, man, whatever it is, if your system's working, stick with it. If your system's not working, consider that. But for me, it's like people who buy programs to teach them how to get organized, or buy programs to teach them how to, sorry, my nose is itchy. It's Florida. We got a lot of pollen going on out there. How to get organized or how to lose weight. It's like, okay, you know, some of that's important. A little bit of instruction is important. But at the end, all the tools in the world aren't necessarily going to make you a better writer. The things that'll make you a good writer, here they are. First, get it out of your head and onto the page. A lot of people want to write books. Most of them never do. So if you write a book or a story, even a short story, you're in the rare air already. Second, lose your fear of somebody might read this. My dad might read this. My mom might read this. My kid might read this. The idea, people are going to read it. The biggest fear authors have is that somebody might read their stuff. And the second biggest fear is nobody might read their stuff, okay? Then join a critique group. There are plenty of them. I used to belong to one online. Where you would critique two other people's stories, short stories, or chapters, right? 3,000 to 5,000 words, I think. Typical was around 3,000. You critique two, and then you'd be able to post one of yours, and other people would critique it. And it helps you, critiquing other people's stories helps you in so many ways. First of all, you're putting it out there for other people to read. Second, by reading other people's stories, you're going to find their mistakes, and that sharpens your eye to your own. And then the last one is get your stuff out there. Get it out there, whether it's on a blog, or if you want to go on TikTok and read TikTok Live and read your short stories out loud. Expose yourself. Get your stories out there. To be unread is to be non-existent as an author. All right, let's see what else we got here. Do you know, whoops, oh, I screwed it up. It zipped ahead now. Do you know what you will write tomorrow? Yeah, usually so here's what I'm doing right now. Oops, I knocked my camera down. Sorry about that. I was eventually falling off the screen there. Yeah, I know, I pretty much always know what I'm going to write. My next book, the next thing I'm working on, which I'm currently working on with an asterisk, and I'll come back to that in a second. What I'm currently working on is the sequel to Tiffany Lynn is Missing, right there, right? Tiffany Lynn is Missing. Nope, that's double line. There's Tiffany Lynn. There's Tiffany Lynn is Missing. The sequel is coming out. Oh, I keep knocking this thing down. The sequel is coming out. It's called Killer in the Dark. Comes out, I think, May 15th. Definitely want to pop over and pick that up. $5.99, worth every penny. It's a great, great, great story. Tiffany Lynn is Missing is probably the best mystery I had written to date. Got a great new character, Jet Thacker. She's an investigative reporter, so there's no rules. She's not a cop. She's not she's not bound by those rules. So she can go anywhere, do anything, and she can get in trouble for going and doing things. She's not a detective per se. And then, so her second book, Killer in the Dark, comes out, like I said, in about 30 days. So you can pre-order it right now. That way you won't go without it for a minute when it comes out. And I'm working on the next one, which is called Definition of a Murder. Now, if you ask, do I know what I'm working on next? The answer is always. I'm going to write 6 novels this year. One will be Fourth Degree, which is the Double Blind series with Carly and Sergio. And the other ones are all Jet Thacker mysteries. I want to really run with that character. I have a lot of fun with her and her boyfriend Aaron and Aaron's daughters, who I was talking about earlier. That's the good girls that were on the soccer team. Those are his daughters. He's got an evil sister named Ashley. He's a rich guy, and Ashley, in this next book, Ashley's working to take him down. Him and Jet are an item, and they're going to break up because he thinks, I can't lose all my business and go through all this crap and drag my girlfriend through it as well. He's thinking about proposing to her. Instead, he's going to break up with her so she won't have to go through all the crap he knows his sister's going to do. His sister and him are partners in their business, and she's going to jail for murder, and she's going to take everybody down with her. And he's trying to be gallant and say he needs to not put his girlfriend through that. He loves her too much to do that. And of course, it's the exact opposite of what he should do, because she loves him and she wants to be there by his side while he goes through his rough time. So I'm an author. I have to put my characters up a tree and then throw rocks at them. All right, so I always know what I'm going to write the next day, because I make an outline, and every day is like sitting down with a writing prompt. However, I said there was an asterisk. Right now, I do these authors clubs, young authors clubs at grade schools. So I am literally formatting this week. I think I formatted 8 books yesterday, 6 the day before, 4 the day before that. I'll do 6 or 8 today, 6 or 8 tomorrow, and formatting and publishing all these young author club books. So these kids come in, they write on paper and pencil, they turn it into me, Mr. Dan, I type it up. The next week they get it back to edit and review it. And it doesn't matter what I do, I just keep slowly slipping out of frame here. So I don't know what I'm doing wrong there. And so while I have literally started the definition of the book, I've literally started writing Definition of a Murder. It's on hold while I finish these kids' books, because I got to have them done and in their hot little hands before the end of the school year, which it's April. School ends end of May, but like I said, I'm on track. But that's what I'm doing all this weekend. Then that'll be done, then I can jump back into my writing. And I do an outline, so every day I have a little writing prompt. Jet goes here, jet goes there, this happens, that happens. I outlined 1/3 of the story for you in those few sentences I gave you, and the next parts of it's going to be, the hero saves the day kind of thing. Have you been to, I can't see what that says, CO, DR? I don't know what that says. Dominican Republic, maybe? Is that DR? Nope. I've been to plenty of Caribbean islands, Puerto Rico, Aruba, Barbados, one of the St. John's, I think, St. John's, Martinique. Barbados was awesome. Barbados has Cranes Beach Hotel, and it's got almost like an infinity pool. It's like a Greek-style infinity pool, not an infinity pool, a Greek-style pool on the edge of a cliff. And it's Cranes Beach and Cranes Mansion. And their brochure says it's like a piece of heaven fell to earth. Absolutely gorgeous. You go to the edge of the pool, you're standing on a 100-foot cliff, you're looking at the water, you can see like 100 feet down into the water. You go down the rickety staircase that goes down the side of the cliff, down to where the beach break is. Giant waves, gorgeous water, gorgeous turquoise water, crystal clear, beautiful beach, and just absolutely so beautiful. This will sound weird, but it's like when I'm standing on a beach like that and the giant waves crashing, the big tall cliffs, it's like, how can you not want to be a part of that? Like when I was by that lake in Australia, it's like, how can you not want to be in that moment, just standing there and just loving the beauty of nature? It's so gorgeous. And of course, you can't, those Australian lakes, they're cold, but the water in Barbados is not. So it's like, we had our bathing suits and stuff. So of course I wanted to get in that water and even be more a part of it. All right, let's see what else we got here. I would gift, but I don't have money. Maybe you don't have to gift. Your gift is your presence. Coming on, saying hi, follow me, that costs you nothing. Have a good one. Mate, thank you very much for joining me for while you could. I can't TikTok live. My dream is to manga. Well, why can't you TikTok live? There are a zillion manga lovers out there. You must know that. Do you have encouragement for young writers? Yeah. Don't resist the urge to write. Write whenever everybody says I can't find time to write. It's not like you're going to look in the couch cushions and find time. You have to make time. And for most people, that means just get up a little earlier and you'll be able to write as much as you want. Most people aren't willing to do what it takes to write. And usually what it takes is just something a little inconvenient, like schedule it or get up a half hour early, and instead of checking email, write for 30 minutes. If you got up a half hour earlier every day for 7 days, that's 3.5 hours of unfiltered, unadulterated writing time. After a month, that's what, 14 straight hours? You'd write something in that much time. So yeah, and another thing, young writers, old writers, all say new writers, okay? New authors, new writers, people who are just starting out or think they are. You're usually a better writer than you think. You're usually a better writer than you think. If you show your stuff to people, everybody's going to have their own preference. They might be able to pick it apart. Hopefully you get in a critique group and you get constructive feedback. But the very fact that you wrote it down puts you already in the rare air, because most people want to write a book or want to write stories and they never do. Hey, Aletta, good to see you. Thanks for joining. I don't have 1,000 followers. Well, you don't today. But you know what? Do the things you have to do. Figure out what you want to talk about. Do it with passion. Aletta will tell you. Follow Aletta. That'll help you get to 1,000 followers. That's Professor Krupp, by the way. Or Krupp. I don't know how she actually says the last name. Krupp, maybe. With a K. So what you get on TikTok. Don't just follow everybody and don't do the follow me, follow back business. Just find the things. Say you're interested in dogs. You love dog videos. You have cute puppies. Okay, you post a bunch of cute puppy videos. Do the things that interest you, and that's what'll help you do it with passion. Okay, and then follow people who are also doing those similar things. Apologize. I got to keep fixing my phone here. It keeps sliding down. I don't really know why. I don't know what I did wrong here, but every 5 minutes it's like I have to come up and adjust this thing. So it's not going to stay. I must have broken it recently. You can just see it. It starts out here and slowly, and next thing I know, I'm like this. So you'll be at 1,000 followers before you know it. And think of it this way: it may take one person. It may take a friend of yours. See, I'm talking here and it keeps sliding over, so I don't know what's going on. Let me turn this a little bit. Maybe don't compare yourself to other people too much. I have lots of friends who have more followers than me, and I'm like, oh, how'd they get there so much faster than me? I don't know, but they did. So do your thing, do it with passion, and you'll have 1,000 before you know it. But you won't have it necessarily quickly. You won't have it, at the end of 3 days. You may not have it at the end of 3 weeks. You'll probably have it at the end of 3 months if you're posting every day or 3 times a day if you can. If you're staying on message with your content, if you're commenting on other people's content that you enjoy that's similar to the thing you're trying to talk about, you'll get your followers. Well, I may have to end this session just because my stupid thing is going to fall down. The camera's never done this to me before. I don't know why it's picked today to do it, but all right, what else we got? It is cause I made this. Oh, I know what it is. I pulled that thing over, so I plugged in my phone so I could do this live, and it's plugged into the wall. There's a adapter, and the adapter's heavy, so it's pulling it down. That's what happened. So maybe I can unplug for the last couple minutes here. It won't hurt anything. Hopefully I don't lose you guys. There, we're unplugged. Now that should stop happening. Yeah, all right. Woo. Maybe it'll work. I got to figure out a way to fix that. Okay, so what else are we talking about here? Let's see. Because you my age. Well, I don't know how old you are. And I don't know if you know how old I am. Please don't stop the stream. Don't cross the streams. Remember that from Ghostbusters? Great advice, Dan. Have a great day. Thanks a lot for joining me. I'm glad you could tune in for a little bit. Don't worry about how old you are either. There are new authors who are in their 20s. Some of them are younger than that. And there are a lot of them who don't start writing until they're 35. And there are a bunch, maybe the majority, don't start writing until they're in their 50s. You just got different things to learn. Somebody who's 50-year-old isn't going to know necessarily all the small talk that a 20-year-old would say. So when they go to create a 20-year-old character in their story, they're not hip with maybe how they dress, and so you got to go around and observe a little bit. You may have to listen to some conversations. People have told me I do a good job with dialogue. I usually have snappy dialogue between my characters. Excuse me. Part of that is because I know how most people talk because I listen to them. But if there's ever a character where I say a 10-year-old, well, I have a 12-year-old, so let's not say that. Say an 18-year-old. Maybe I need to go to an airport or a coffee shop or wherever 18-year-olds hang out and try not to be a creepy old man, but just kind of take out my laptop and kind of listen a little bit, or find places where 18-year-olds are. For example, a lot of 18-year-olds are on TikTok. So listen to how they talk. It's not that they talk a different language, but they definitely emphasize different words. They may have different styles of speaking. They say bruh a lot, which is annoying, etc., etc. All right, so I had some other questions I was going to answer. Let me see if I can get my computer back up, and then we'll wrap this up in a few minutes. If you have any questions you'd like to ask an author, feel free. Most of the time when I do a live session, I get people coming and going, and very few stay for the whole thing. So those of you who do, I appreciate it. I'm going to download this and post it on YouTube, so anything you missed, you can certainly get it. This was a good one, though. What was the first book that made you cry? So first I'll say this. There are definitely books that have made me cry. I wouldn't say I cry easy, but I don't, maybe I do, because I'll cry at movies. Like we were watching that movie In and Out. Is it In and Out? In and Out? Not In and Out. About where the emotion movie, Inside Out? What's that one called? I can't think of it. I got the wrong name there. It's not Inside Out. That's a different movie. But it's the Pixar cartoon about the little kid. It's about the kid and their emotions. And I cry during that because the core emotions of being a little kid. I'm getting teared up right now. The core emotions of being a little kid, being so close with the parents, those go away. It's like, so the first book that made me cry, I don't know. I probably didn't cry at a book until I definitely probably cried at a book in high school, so I'll go back and say probably earlier than that, say 8th grade. And the things I was reading in 8th grade, I have an older sister, and she would give me books that she was reading. She's 10 years older than me. So I would read, she would give me books that she was reading in college and high school for me to read. She thought I'd find them interesting. So I was reading, excuse me, The Stranger by Albert Camus, stuff like that. But it's not like I sought that out. I mean, I didn't like the Hardy Boys. I thought they were kind of wimps. I loved Mark Twain. I loved Archie comics. I read a ton of those. But so the first one that made me cry, well, I don't know. I don't think I cried when I read Lord of the Flies. But I can say for sure there were books that I read. My dad was a real avid reader, so we had a bookshelf upstairs was just stacked with novels, and there was one that was called Thy Daughter's Nakedness, and I don't know who wrote it, and I remember there was a bunch of scenes. There's some steamy scenes in there, but there was also that it's about a young woman, and she's going through some rites of passages as dating boys and sleeping around a little bit and this that, and there's some moments in there where she's really caught off guard and kind of surprised at certain people's behaviors. And when she got sad, I definitely cried at that. So I know that I read that one in high school. So there's a 4-year range in there somewhere. What is the most unethical practice in the publishing industry? I'd say this. Most people who get traditionally published, I'll say this. There's a lot of statistics that will bear this out. Most books that are picked up by traditional publishing agencies do not earn out. In other words, whatever they give as an advance, they don't sell enough books to earn back that money. So if they give you $10,000 or $1,000 or $500, they don't sell enough books to recoup the advance. That's been true for a very, very, very long time. So that's the thing. The takeaway there is most books don't earn out. What does that mean? That means most of the time they pick a book, they've got all these books to pick from, they have a certain amount of money they're going to spend on a budget to promote this book because it's an investment for them, they intend to make a bunch of money, right? Same with movies, same with records. So the fact that these people are picking what they think is going to make money, and most of the time the books don't earn out, which means most of the time they're wrong. That tells me the people at the top don't know what they're doing. And that's unethical. You should not be doing something if you don't know what the hell you're doing. Now, the difference for me, another thing people don't know, when they are traditionally published, you still have to do so much self-promotion. You still have to have TikTok. You still have to have all these other things. And 85% of your money is going to other people, ostensibly people promoting you, but you will find you're doing most of it yourself. You still have to do author events. You still have to do signings. You still have to do a blog. If they want you to do a blog, so you have to have a presence. You got to be on TikTok and YouTube, and you can't afford to piss anybody off, or you're going to get dropped. Then you take the other side of that and you say, and after all that, you get 15% of the money that gets made off of the thing you created. I just decided, you know what, I'm going to go the other way. I'll keep most of the money myself, and I'll figure out how to do these things through either skills I have or connections I can make. So I tend to publish traditionally. It doesn't mean you have to pick a side. It just means as long as the people at the top of that industry don't seem to know what they're doing, there's no reason for me to hitch my career to incompetence. If I'm going to be incompetent, I'll be incompetent. If I'm going to hitch it to incompetence, it'll be my incompetence, because at least I can learn and adapt. Hey, thanks for having. Have a great day. Have a great day. Let's see another one over here. Does writing energize you or exhaust you? Both. Every day if I have an outline and I'm in the middle of a story, every day I jump out of bed. It's Christmas morning. I cannot wait to get to my computer and write. And after you do that for 6 or 8 hours, I don't know if you can tell. I got a red shirt on, so it probably doesn't show. My eyes are dry just from the amount of time I spent on the computer yesterday. I get really bad about it because I get intense and I focus and I don't blink as much as I should, and I definitely don't get up and move around as much as I should. So it's like taxing in that regard, and I slouch when I type. So, eventually my back will start to hurt, and right? So it's definitely energizing and exhausting. And the hardest part is when you're about 2/3 of the way through, or about 70%, 75% of the way through a book, where it's like that mushy middle. It's actually not the middle. It's a little 2/3 of the way through, where it's like, okay, I created all these neat scenarios. Now I know how it's going to end. I got all these points that got to converge to make that very satisfying ending. And as I'll say this again, I always say this, Winston Churchill said, when you're going through hell, keep going. So the idea is, okay, you know the mushy middle's coming, and if you're a new author, maybe you don't know that, you're like, oh, I got this far and I can't get any further. It's like, yeah, you got to slog through the middle. That's the work part. So I get to that point, then I start honing it all in, and I always try to have it all tied up really, really quickly, a big flourish, boom, done, have my little follow-up chapters so you know everybody's, you know, riding off to the sunset, all the fair characters you tuned in for are okay, they're going to be all right, you know. And so it's very exhausting. When I'm done writing for the day, whether it's after 1 hour or 8 hours, or sometimes I write all night, sometimes I get up at 4 a.m. and I sit down and I write, and all of a sudden it's noon, and I'm like a zombie and I gotta, you know, go to sleep or whatever. Excuse me, you are definitely tired, but not so tired that you don't want to sit right back down and jump back into it. And by the way, as soon as you step away from the keyboard, you go do the dishes, you go to dinner, you're trying to zone out watching TV or TikTok or YouTube, you go mow the lawn, you're still thinking about your story, and you can't wait to get back to it. Another question over here is, let's go to the other website. There was a bunch for. What inspired you to start writing? I kind of talked about that already, but it was probably my older brother. He encouraged me to write my comic books, and he enjoyed them. And positive enforcement, right? So how long have you been writing? I would say, well, you count it as, if you start the clock when I put out my first book, then it's, whatever, it's been about 10 years or so. I really only started writing murder mysteries maybe 3 years ago, and that's really when things shifted and really kind of took off. Here's another good one. I'm going to wrap it up soon. How do you handle writer's block? First of all, I don't suffer from writer's block. I will have a problem in a story that I need to think about to figure out how to work out. And that's happened many times. In The Italian Assistant, I had a big problem. I've talked about it before, where this guy cheated on his wife. He was eventually going to get back to his wife, and I couldn't figure out why she would take him back. So I created some scenes, the wife with her best friend, the husband going to church to confess, him crawling back to her, him having to deal with his mother-in-law, him having to deal with his daughter. And I created all these different scenes to make everybody know it was not an easy reconciliation. The reason she took him back was because she decided she wasn't going to lose her marriage over it. And he had an explanation that they were fighting, and they were the reason why people cheat. But what I thought was the best reconciliation was when the wife who got cheated on, when she sat down with her best friend and they talked about all the different things of, all the different things that anybody would think of. I watched Oprah episodes where they talked about this, and I read a bunch of articles, and it basically came down to, I didn't have one answer. I didn't have an answer. I had every option for her laid out, and she discussed them with the friend. But it was very funny how they did it, because they're like, I should kill him, and she's like, I'll hold his arms for you, yeah. So they go through them. Then at the end, the wife is very sad, and she's drunk now, and she starts to cry, and she's like, what do I do? And the friend is like, exactly. What do you do? What do you do? What do you want out of this? And she wanted her husband back. She didn't want to have cheated, but and so when he went back to her, he was ready to forgive himself and be forgiven, and it worked out nice. So anyways, there was a tangent, we went off there. So let's see. So I can't see what that is. Don't stop the stream. Don't stop the stream. I have no idea what that means, but whatever, dude. Okay, great. Woo, we're not stopping the stream. Don't stop the stream. I don't know. Are you urinating? Don't stop the stream. Don't stop the river. Don't put a dam in the river. I have no idea what you're talking about. And I'm probably going to block you afterwards. So enjoy your moment. Anyhow, so that was some of the questions that I wanted to answer. It was only going to go about 30 minutes. We went about 45. So here's what I'm going to do. If you have other questions you'd like to ask, hey, I'll try to let you know next time I go live. Give you a little advance notice, in other words. But if you have any other questions, just jump onto any of my videos. If you found this helpful at all, here's what I want you to do. This is important. Here's how you help your author. First of all, if you buy a book and you like the book, go on Amazon and Goodreads and BookBub and say that you like the book. If you don't like the book, you're allowed to go on and say that too, okay? But if you like an author's book, if you like their work, leave a review that says so, okay? That way the algorithms, people who like what you like will maybe check it out. That helps. The other thing you can do is when you see if an author of yours, like me, some of you like, if you like my videos, like them, follow me, share the video with somebody else that you think would enjoy it. There's a lot of stuff I do that you can tell. People who are readers, or other authors, a lot of them are other authors, but a lot of readers who are mystery and thriller lovers, got to practice that until I can say it without stumbling. A lot of people who are thriller lovers like my little videos where I was like, that guy's landscaping his yard and that dirt mound's a little too big and I haven't seen his spouse lately. That one got a bunch of views, and another one I did got like 2,000 views. Most of mine get like 200, so, or at least right now they do. So anybody can enjoy that. Anybody can enjoy the humor behind that. So don't just view it and say, oh, that was cute. You know, like it. I get a lot of likes. Those are great. Love it. Make a comment and then share it with somebody else. Share it with somebody else you think might enjoy that, and encourage them to share it with you. So that's what you can do for your author friends, especially me. If you like what you see on any of my videos, drop me a comment, say you liked it, didn't like it, whatever, and and then share it with somebody else. And if you enjoyed this, like I said, I'm gonna post this download it, post it over on YouTube. Hopefully it'll be there within the next 24 hours, maybe within the next 1 hour, you never know. And if you have questions you'd like me to ask me, jump on any of my videos and just ask a question. And a lot of times I'll do a video reply, which is good for you because it'll get some of my people to go check out your stuff, and some of your people will check out my stuff. So it's good for everybody. So again, it was great talking to you guys. For those of you who just joined in the last minute or two, sorry. Joxy, if you want to explain what "Don't Stop the Stream" means, just pop over into one of my other TikToks and leave a comment, and we'll try to figure that out. But honestly, once I read "Don't Stop the Stream," it's like you didn't need to post it 10 times. And like I said, at some point you're going to get blocked if I don't know what you're talking about and you're just clogging up the stream. So, all right, everybody else, thanks a lot for joining. We're wrapping it up there. Again, if there's anything you want to see that you missed, I'll post this on YouTube. It's called Dan Alatorre Authorsphere. I got a YouTube channel over there, just starting out. It's basically like a podcast. I take these lives, I post them there. If you had a question you wanted to ask, you didn't get to ask it, drop on one of my other TikTok videos and leave the comment there, and I'll see about answering it. And finally, if anything I'm doing is entertaining to you, like it, follow it, share it, tell your friends, right? And leave me a comment and check out my books. Don't forget, Tiffany Lynn is Missing is right here. There's the double-blind book. There's Tiffany Lynn is Missing. The sequel to Tiffany Lynn is Missing comes out May 15. It's called Killer in the Dark. It's awesome. You're going to love it. If you haven't checked out Tiffany Lynn is Missing, you need to do so. If you're a mystery and thriller lover, you're going to love that one. Jet Thacker is definitely my most interesting character yet as far as heroes. My villains are pretty interesting, but she's not a villain. And like I said, the sequel is coming out in less than 30 days. You want to pre-order that right now on Amazon. I think the paperback's already available, so you can go ahead and buy the paperback if you want. Hardback's available too. And the ebook comes out, like I said, in about 30 days if we don't move it up. And then you can pre-order the next book in that series, Definition of a Murder. That's all I got for you today, everybody. Thanks a lot for joining. We'll talk to you again soon.